Hello class, my name is Robert Gear and this is my video discussion for our first scenario. Let's get into it. To start the scenario off, I'm a student pilot working on my commercial rating, and for this scenario we completed a flight, a cross-country flight from Richmond, Virginia down to Dare County, North Carolina. Prior to this flight, we did our full flight planning procedures as well as a pre-flight on the ground. We took this time to look at our weather, our route going there, what to expect, certain airspaces, as well as look at the plane, checking the avionics. We can look at the radios and the walk around of the actual aircraft we'll be taking. Also for this flight, we covered all our performance charts. We're looking at our takeoff roll, our en route climb, our cruise altitude, fuel burn, time, distances, landing roll. We had all this information available for this flight. Also for this flight, we covered all our performance charts that we're gonna need. We're looking at our takeoff roll, takeoff distance, top of climb, how long that's gonna take, how much fuel we're gonna burn, as well as cruise, any en route climbs that we may need, and of course that's going to cover our fuel burn, that time from point to point, airspeed, all that's going to be incorporated. And also we looked at our landing roll to make sure we have sufficient runway at our airports that we're looking at. The flight from Richmond to Dare en route was solid, as planned. Everything we expected, we were accounted for. The only difference that we had when we approached about on short final, we noticed there was a bunch of deer on the runway. After the deer were spotted on the runway, I immediately aborted the landing. We started climbing back out. We let Tower know what was going on, and he said he'd be on it, try to get the deer out of the way. With that being said, we now had to look at other airports or other options in hand that we could use to complete this flight and get our plane safely on the ground. With that in mind, we're on the go around. We're talking to Tower. He's going to figure out his airfield. And during our flight planning process, we took the time to look at nearby airports at our destination. You know, we could have had anything if it was weather or an issue with the plane and we needed to get somewhere else. We had the information available. Our first alternate option was First Flight Airport. It's about 6 miles north of Dare County. So with that in mind, we just turned north and we started heading that way to get the plane on the ground. So en route to First Flight, we got on with their tower frequency, let them know what was going on, and we were heading their way. Also, we had a second alternate that was about 25 miles south of Dare County. That's Hyde Airport. That was going to be our second option if we had any issues up north at First Flight Airport. Now, as a commercial student, we're doing our cross-country time building, and we had this issue with deer on the runway down in Dare County. If we decided just to abort that landing and turn back to Richmond, just fly straight home and put the plane to bed, we wouldn't be able to legally log this cross-country time. And as a commercial student pilot, we're taking these cross-country flights to log these flights. So with that in mind, we want to make sure we're getting our plane down over that 50 nautical mile range at an airport safely, full stop landing, and make sure we're legally allowed to log these flights. Say we were in the scenario where all the other alternate airports we had listed or in mind had an issue with the runway. It could be just debris going across the runway could be closed, there could be more deer on the runway, weather came in, what have it. If we have all these issues, that's probably a big sign, hey, just churn home. We're going to scrap the cross-country flight. We're going to get home safely. Hopefully the weather permitting is good. But yeah, in that case, we're just going to fly home. It's not worth trying to force a landing or force a cross-country flight when there are other significant issues that'll prevent that. So with that in mind, safety is always number one, being well informed and getting the plane down safely as well as yourself. Thankfully for this flight, we were able to have a smooth landing up at First Flight Airport, get the wheels on the ground. We were able to stretch the legs, use the restroom, and get set up for our return flight back home. I hope you enjoyed my video for our first scenario. We'll have a few more coming down throughout this class. I'm excited to read the replies and see probably what steps other people might have taken or other factors they took account for. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in class.